Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Today is Monday, March the 13th, 2023. We'd like to welcome those who are joining us in the audience as well as those who are joining us online. I believe spring has arrived early this year, so everything is already budding out, so that's exciting. And at this time, I'll ask our City Secretary, Ms. Jennifer Evans, to provide a roll call. Ms. Evans?
Ms. White?
Here.
Ms. Matlock?
Here.
Mr. Davis? Here. Ms. Williams? Here. Ms. Hart?
Here.
And Ms. Page.
Councilmember Page is not with us this evening, so I will be voting on matters that come before the council this evening. And we would, at this time, ask that you please stand for our invocation and pledge that will be led by Council Member Jean Matlock. Ms. Matlock?
Good evening. Please bow your head.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin the meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Lord, we ask that you allow us to participate in meaningful conversations and help us to be transparent, help us to grow as one, Lord, as we make decisions for the city as a whole. Bless everyone that is in the city of Texarkana, the state of Texas, and the United States of America. These things I ask in your darling Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Okay, if I can get this chair to roll.
At this time, we're going to have a special presentation. It is our annual comprehensive financial report, referred to as the AFCR. And we have with us Mr. David Coleman, who is a CPA with Forvis, and he will present the ACFR for the city's fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021. Mr. Coleman, we want to welcome you this evening to our council meeting, and we'll turn the floor over to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be back with you all. So as you will recall, we got kind of off track a little bit from some events that happened a couple years ago. We're hoping tonight and this week we're one step closer to getting caught up, and the city's one step closer to getting caught up. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about the 2021 audit. So it was my intent for us to issue the final report today. It's been through all my levels of review. We had to implement a new accounting standard this year, so there was a couple pieces of documentation that I needed. Kristen just told me it's in my inbox, so I'm here this week to work on your 22 audit. So we're going to go forward with the audit presentation tonight, and we're working on the 22 audit. Hopefully we'll get this audit that we're going to talk about right now issued before I leave town. You know, the goals, we want to talk about the act for a couple financial highlights. You know, there's some things in there that I think you ought to want to brag about, so I wanted to point those out to you. Audit scope and results and some future pronouncements coming up. So off to the races. So act for overview, you know, this document is 231 pages long. It's a lot to put together. It's a lot for management to review. It's a lot to audit. If I could tell you anything, you know, within this list that you would want to review, certainly would be the independent auditor's report. That's where we tell you everything's clean, an unmodified opinion. And the second would be the management's discussion analysis. So the MD&A is an easy read, about 10 pages or so out of the 231, that kind of gives you an oversight of what's going on with the city from management's perspective. So definitely recommend that you read that. The other items are just required by accounting and GFOA standards to be included in your ACFR. It's pretty similar to what you've seen in the past. I wanted to add a couple slides in here about financial performance. So, you know, your general fund, as of 9/30/21, there was a great, I mean, it wasn't a great year, but financially it was very good for the city. You ended the year with 18.3 million in unassigned fund balance. The ratio that I like to look is, okay, what is the future expenditures of that unassigned fund balance? And it represents about 48% of your budget expenditures for the upcoming year, which is really, really good. The GFOA recommends 2 months. They say that's good, but you all have about three 3 times that. So very, very healthy unassigned fund balance. I know your budget, you've increased your budget with public safety this coming year. So you're going to put that money out there with public safety. But overall, a really good year, from a financial perspective. Texas Water Utilities, we always like to talk about how your utility's functioning. I'm here to tell you it's functioning good. It's positive, seeing positive results. You made about $2 million as of 9/30/21. Keep in mind, this is an enterprise fund. It has to make money to operate, right? You can't have a utility that doesn't make money because they have to fix things and they have to pay for it themselves. They don't have tax payer assistance or anything like that. So we have to see that positive cash flow, positive net position increases there. So overall, very, very good. I also wanted to point out the pensions. So the city has 4 different pension plans. There's about $15 million in pension liabilities. You see pension liabilities in the news. So I wanted to point that out to you. It's one of the larger liabilities on your balance sheet. But pay close attention to this column right here, if you can see. You see 94% funded, 91% funded, 90% funded, and 89% funded. That's basically fully funded, okay? So very, very healthy pension plans. We're lucky to live in a state that where TMRS functions and it operates and manages your pension funds very effectively and efficiently. So good job overall with financial results for the 2021 year. The OPEB, you do have a retiring medical plan. You provide benefits to retirees. There is a $16.9 million liability out there for that. It's a pay-as-you-go plan. So, in other words, the city kind of pays it as you go. The only way that you can whittle that liability down is to set monies aside, okay, to put them in a trust. So most cities do not fund that liability, but it is out there. As far as audit results, clean, unmodified opinions on internal control. We did test your compliance and didn't find any issues there. We audited 2 grants. The Brownsfield Multipurpose Grant, that's a revolving loan fund the city operates to hand out loans to brownfield sites, and the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund. So that money was used for public safety during that year. So we did audit both of those programs and didn't find anything to report to you. The next several pages are required communications. I'm not going to read all of them in detail to you, but GASB 84, that was one of the reasons kind of that we're held up and not issue the final act for as of today. We had to go in and analyze all of your potential fiduciary activities. So, the city of Texarkana shares a lot of service with the Arkansas side, so we had to evaluate all those, evaluate the pension funds, and ask for some documentation that we probably haven't asked for in the past. So we had to look all of that and implement that. We didn't find any issues or anything to report to you. As far as judgments, an audit is not perfect. There is judgments and estimates. Your allowance for doubtful account, your pension liability, your OPEB. We've audited all of these, but they do involve accounting estimates. We have audited those and think you are recording those in accordance with GAAP, but they are estimates and could change. As far as financial statement disclosures, sensitive disclosures, your contingent liabilities, I don't think really there's not a lot to speak of there. Your OPEB, which we just talked about, and your pension liabilities. So I didn't want to mention those and not kind of cover them in the presentation to you. So no audit adjustments. Chris and her team do a great job getting us where we need to be in order to be able to issue this audit. Really, no matters are reported about your quality of the city's accounting principles. We have no matters to report to you, which is a good thing. Really no significant unusual transactions last year. Now, the year before, there was, of course, but it seems like the city's gotten over that hump. As far as future pronouncements, I'm just going to touch on the couple that you have coming up next year or this upcoming year. And I don't know if they're really even applicable to the city, but GASB 87 is going to require us to evaluate all of your leases. I know TW has some leases that we're going to have to evaluate. It's another big accounting standard that came out in the middle of COVID. The GASB gave everybody a year off, and now our year is to implement the lease standard. So it is going to be pretty involved. I know with TWU, I'm not sure with the city yet, so we're working with Kristen this week on that. 91 conduit debt obligations, that just tells us how to book conduit debt. I don't think there's going to be significant ramifications for the city on that. Public-private partnerships, that's in 2023. GASB 96 is leases, but it's for software or cloud-based items. So we'll have to evaluate that in a couple years. GASB 101, compensated absence, I don't think that's significant either, but it is a new standard that will have to be implemented in 2024. So those are my required communications to you all, those charged with governance. Again, I expect to be able to issue this audit within the week. I don't expect anything to change. We've provided a draft. I don't know if you all have seen a draft, but it's been through most of our review. I just have to stick a couple things in the file. Okay. So with that being said, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Coleman by the council this evening? All right, very thorough report. We appreciate your work. And Kristen, thank you all for the great work that you've done to contribute to this good audit. So thank you, you and your staff. All right, thank you, Mr. Coleman. All right, hope you enjoy the rest of your week here. I'd like to recognize, we have in the audience, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, Mike Unger, who's one of our scout leaders in the community, has a couple of scouts with him this evening. So Mike, would you all please stand and introduce who you have with us this evening?
Your Honor, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is my daughter on the far right, is Rebecca Unger, and her friend Naomi Howell. They are two of the members of Troop 23, which is an all-girls scout troop from Scouts BSA. They are here to fulfill requirements for citizenship and the Community Merit Badge and Communications Merit Badge. So I'll go ahead and admonish the council, please let's have an argument tonight. Two sides of the story.
All right, so.
But yes, that's why we're here.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for being here this evening. We hope that you enjoy our council meeting. So once again, you're welcomed here. All right, we'll now move along to Mayor's remarks and items of community interest. Just as a reminder, our next council meeting will be held on March the 27th at 6 p.m. And then our meetings during the month of April will be on April the 10th and April the 24th, once again at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. In reference to Parks and Recreation activities, March the 17th through the 20th, the Cowart Sports Softball Tournament will be held at Wallace Park. March 18th and 19th, the NCS Baseball Tournament will be held at Spring Lake Park. And March 23rd through 25th is the Huggins Memorial Baseball Tournament. Once again, that's also at Spring Lake Park. Additional Parks and Recreation information can be found on the city's website, or you can contact the city by phone for additional information. I also have a note this evening I would like to share with everyone relating to our Vital Statistics Office here at the city. And at this time, I will read this prepared statement. The Vital Statistics Office would like to remind citizens this is a busy time of the year with tax season, kindergarten enrollment, student sports, and passport requests. As the city is still recovering from the loss of online records due to a cyber attack, processing orders takes longer. In-person requests can take up to 30 minutes for one single certificate, and some requests cannot be filled because of missing or altered information. Please allow ample time in case there are unforeseen problems with obtaining a certificate. If a birth or death occurred in Texarkana, Wake Village, or Nash, Texarkana is the holder of that record and the long-form certificate is available. If a birth occurred elsewhere in Texas, this office can issue the abstract certificate. It works for most everything except leaving the United States. All Texas birth and death certificates can be obtained from Austin. Check the Vital Statistics webpage for a list of acceptable IDs and qualified applicants. Applications for mail-in or drop-off service and general questions to ensure everything required is ready to purchase a certificate. And so just want to pass along that community announcements this evening relating to our Vital Statistics Office. At this time, we'll move along to our open forum comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. If you are here, however, and you would like to speak during one of our public hearing items, then I will ask that you please wait until we get to that particular public hearing item, and then we'd be more than happy to listen to your comments at that time. We also ask for those who want to address the council to fill out one of the sheets that's on the rack. Ms. Evans, did we have any sheets filled out this evening? Okay, is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, we'll move along to our appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Do we have any appointments to be made by the council this evening?
Yes, Lord.
Ms. Hart?
I have a reappointment for Ellen Moore for Board of Adjustment.
Okay. Are there any others this evening? Mr. Davis?
I've got 4 reappointments for the Zoning Board of Adjustment as well. Rusty Phelps, Thomas Tucker, James Bramlett, and Mike Ingram.
Are there any other appointments this evening? All right, very good. Is there a motion to approve those reappointments and appointments this evening?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, that was a tie. Okay, all right. We'll yield to the ladies. Okay,
Yes.
so second by Councilmember White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, those appointments have been made, and want to thank those for your service to the city and your continued service to the city. At this time, we move along to items for consideration. We do have 3 items this evening on the consent agenda. Item 1 is to consider the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on February the 27th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Item 2, ordinance number 2023-031, amending Chapter 105, Buildings and Construction of the Land Development Code by moving and amending Section 130-10, high-rise signs, to Section 105-11. Number 3, ordinance number 2023-033, a closing and abandoning a 16-foot utility easement located on 4203 and 4205 North State Line Avenue, and located within Block 1 and Lots 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8 of Block 2 of North Park Addition. Unless a council member would like to pull one or more items for further consideration, I will consider a motion to approve the consent agenda as it has been presented. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. We have a second by Councilmember Matlock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the consent agenda has been approved. We have 2 items this evening relating to action items. Item 4, resolution number 2023-034, authorizing and directing the evaluation, negotiation, and preparation of proposed service or development agreements for voluntary annexation request. We'll have this item considered for council approval this evening, and our city manager, Dr. Orr, is going to provide additional information to the council relating to this item. Dr. Orr?
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council. City staff has received 6 requests for voluntary annexation of property adjacent to the city limits that allow for future growth and economic development. The letters are in your packet, include a total land area of 247 acres for voluntary request. City staff recommends approval to start the process for the service agreements, and we'll bring that back to you at a future date. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the city manager on this item? Okay, if not, is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember White and a second by Councilmember Davis. This item pertains to a resolution, so there's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution has been approved. Moving along to item number 5, ordinance number 2023-035, granting a specific use permit to allow the location of a double-wide HUD coat manufactured home on lots 5 and 6, Block 2, Grandview Edition, located at 2809 Finley Street. Sandra Carroll, owner. And I believe Laura Puckett, city staff, is going to provide some information to the council relating to this item. Good evening, Laura.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Ms. Carroll has previously presented before Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council and got approval for a single wide. That didn't work out. She's coming back and asking for a double wide. She was approved by Planning and Zoning at our last meeting.
Okay. For the double wide?
Yes, sir, for
Okay.
a double wide HUD code manufactured home at 2809 Finley.
Okay, all right, very good. Any questions for Laura this evening on this item? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the information. Unless there's any further discussion, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the ordinance. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams and a second by Councilmember Hart. This item does pertain to an ordinance, so Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the zoning map showing the location, boundary, and use of certain property by the granting of specific use permit number S-773 to allow the location of a double-wide HUD code manufactured home on lots 5 and 6, Block 2, Grandview Addition, located at 2809 Finley Street in the city of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. We'll now move along to first briefings. We have one item this evening under this category. Item 1 is resolution number 2023-032, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Stanley Consultants for qualified environmental professional services for the 2022 EPA Brownfields Revolving Loan Grant Fund. And we have Daphne to brief us on this item. Good evening, Daphne.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution is to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Stanley Consultants for our qualified environmental professional for our new EPA revolving loan fund that we just received for $1 million that we brought to you before. Part of that award is a requirement to hire a qualified environmental professional. So there is $80,000 in that grant budget for contractual services. The city let bid, and Stanley Consultants was the winning bidder. They have been our qualified environmental professional for our original RLF grant and have provided excellent professional services during that time. Staff recommends approval, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Daphne on this item? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And we will have a public hearing on this item at our next meeting on March the 27th and council consideration during that same meeting. At this time, we move along to our public hearings. We do have 3 public hearings scheduled this evening. Item 1 is ordinance number 2023-009, rezoning lots 9 and 10, block 180, Triggs Edition, located south of 1008 Cedar Street, from commercial to single family 3. Angela Forte, owner, and Ms. Puckett, Laura's going to provide the council with some background information pertaining to this particular ordinance because this is the second time that we have visited this particular item. So, Laura, if you'll please provide us some information.
So she was previously tabled at a council meeting because we needed to get straight the lots that are in question. And she provided us with a warranty deed for lots 9 and 10. Those were the lots that were, the legal notice went out for those lots during the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, so those were the ones approved. Those are the correct ones.
Y'all may recall we had that question about the lot numbers, and so we had to table the item to make sure that our legal information was correct. So any questions for Laura on this item? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Unless there's further discussion on this item, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the ordinance.
Mayor,
I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis.
I think we need to open.
Oh, we need to have a public hearing. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there. I apologize. All right, so we do need to have a public hearing on this item. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on ordinance number 2023-009. If there's anyone who would like to address the council on this item, please come forward and state your name for the record. Good evening, ma'am.
Good afternoon, council and mayor. My name is Angela Forte, and I was here the last time where we had the little discrepancy.
Yes,
but actually it did work out for the better. After I got with Dustin, he said the house was on lot 11, so I was needing not lot 9 and 10 to put the manufactured home. So I was able to get all the documents and get it straight in New Boston, so that's why I'm here today.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, any questions for Ms. Forte by the council? Okay, thank you for your time, ma'am.
Okay.
Public hearing is still open. If anyone else would like to address the council on this item, please come forward. Not seeing anyone else coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? We have a motion by Councilmember White. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Texarkana, Texas by rezoning lots 9 and 10, Block 180, Triggs Edition, located south of 1008 Cedar Street in the City of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, from commercial to single-family 3, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. Item number 2, ordinance number 2023-010, granting a specific use permit to allow the location of a single-wide HUD code manufactured home on lots 9 and 10, Block 180, Triggs Edition, located south of 1008 Cedar Street. Angela Forte, owner. So this item pertains to the specific use permit, and the previous item pertained to the rezoning. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, at this time I'll declare the public hearing open. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Matlock and a second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the zoning map showing the location, boundary, and use of certain property by the granting of specific use permit number S-771 to allow the location of a single-wide HUD code manufactured home on lots 9 and 10, Block 180, Triggs Edition, located south of 1008 Cedar Street in the City of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. We have one more public hearing item. It relates to item 3, ordinance number 2023-026, amending Chapter 130, Streets and Sidewalks of the Land Development Code and amending the master fee list for Chapter 130, license and permit fees. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis and a second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, the caption.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending Chapter 130, Streets and Sidewalks of the Land Development Code, amending the master fee list for Chapter 130, license and permit fees, containing repealer and severability clauses, providing for publication, containing legislative findings, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. This concludes our public hearings portion of the agenda. We'll now move to the city manager's report. Dr. Orr?
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So just a few updates to pass along to you tonight. First off, staff met with the new LifeNet CEO, Dave Snavely, last week and received an update on LifeNet operations. And so Dave and his team will be here next week to present to the City Council at our next meeting. Last year, the City Council authorized current and future opioid settlements by the Texas Attorney General's Office. The city received notice of additional settlements last week that were reached, and so the total of these new settlements are estimated, they're on the screen there, but about $181,018.21. And that's for Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. And then the final update is Airport Master Plan Workshop. We're working on a number of things at the airport, and one of those is kind of what's next in terms of after the new terminal. And so this master plan will look at that along with some other issues. And so that's set for next Wednesday, March 22nd, from 5:30 at the Texarkana, Arkansas Convention Center. And so this is open to the public and encourage people to attend. That's all we have.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you, David. We'll now move along to administrative comments. Any comments from the council this evening? Okay. Any comments from the staff? Final comments? Okay, very good. Mr. Unger, I'm sorry we didn't have any fighting tonight, so.
And it only lasted 30 minutes.
Yeah, so anyway. Okay, unless there's any further business to be brought before the council, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Hart, a second by Councilmember Matlock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for being here, and certainly hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening.